The JoLynn Braley Show, episode number 128. Can emotional eating really be cured? Hello, welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. This is JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that's not a diet, the diet that actually works if you work it. Yeah, imagine that. Just like anything on this planet Earth, we are all living on right now. When you have the very best action plan in front of you that will solve your ongoing food and weight struggles, you have to take action with it to get that action plan to work for you. And as long as you take action with the Inner Self Diet, it heals the root of your ongoing food and weight struggles so that you become struggle-free with food and your weight in 8 weeks or less. That means that you're actually able to live a healthy lifestyle, which all of us have common sense. You've got to change how you eat, you've got to change how you exercise, and you've got to live a healthy lifestyle, not just to lose weight, but to keep it off for the rest of your life. And when you are able to do that and do it without struggle, without sabotaging yourself, without hating it, without waiting for the other shoe to drop, then you are really free. And that's the work that I do with my awesome coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet. Hey, if you don't already have my free ebook, why don't you get that right now? You'll learn 3 simple steps to start making weight loss easier from the inside out. They are not typical diet and exercise tips, and you can get that for free right now when you go to www.easyfunweightloss.com. That's www.easyfunweightloss.com. All right, now today, what we are going to be focusing on is the question, can emotional eating really be cured? And the reason that I'm doing this topic today is because I was doing a live video and somebody made a comment, asked a question. It was more of a statement. She said, well, I've heard that once you have an emotional eating problem, that you're in recovery the rest of your life. It never really goes away, and there's not anything you can do about it. So that was very interesting. And here's the truth. If that person who made that statement believes their statement, then they're right. Yep. If they believe that they're never going to be able to cure their emotional eating, that they will always struggle with it, that they will always be in recovery for emotional eating, and that they're always going to have this dark cloud over their head, and they're always going to be waiting for the disaster to happen where they're going to relapse back into their emotional eating. If that's what they believe, then they are correct, and they will create that for themselves. Now, is it true, however? Is it true that emotional eating can never be cured? No, it's not true. It's only true if you believe that. You have no idea, more than likely, if you're like most people, you have no idea how powerful your beliefs are. Okay? There's absolutely no reason that you can't cure your emotional eating. There's no reason. Unless you are mentally disabled, okay? Here's a very simple equation, and this comes from one of my most favorite mentors and authors, and he's deceased now, but I highly recommend anything that he ever did or wrote, and that's Dr. Maxwell Maltz. And what he said was, if you are able to recall a memory, if you're able to tie your own shoes, and if you're able to worry, then you have the ability to do anything else. And it's true, okay? To cure your emotional eating, you are going to have to take action. You're going to have to take new and different actions, actions that you likely have not ever taken before. You're going to have to learn new coping skills. You're going to have to learn new ways of thinking, new ways of feeling, new ways of living your day-to-day life. And this is all the process and the proven steps that I lead my coaching clients through in the Inner Self Diet. So you are going to have to do something to end your emotional eating. But as long as you have a proven system to work with and you take action with that proven system and you just follow the instructions and you just follow through and you learn these new ways of living, these new ways of thinking, these new ways of being, so that you actually get a weight loss mindset and you fix what currently is 92.8% of your problem. 92.8% of your problem is your mindset. It's how you think about your emotional eating. It's how you think about food. It's how you think about your overweight. And then whatever you think, that's going to lead into how you feel. So if most of the time you feel powerless and you feel crappy and you're hating yourself, and then you go to food to eat something to try to feel better, well, that's a vicious cycle. And the only way that's going to be broken is if you make a decision to learn something totally new so that you can begin a new way of living, a new way of thinking, a new way of doing, a new way of being. And again, that's what I do with my coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet. But bottom line, can emotional eating really be cured? Yes, it absolutely can. If you are willing to learn how to do it, if you're willing to do something new. Is it going to be cured by continuing to do what you're doing now? If what you're doing now is what everybody else out there is doing, there's millions of people out there who are complaining and blaming other people. They're blaming food. They're blaming They say they don't have enough time. They make all of these different excuses for why they're not succeeding with changing their eating habits and losing weight and keeping it off. And if you're going to be like them and just keep complaining and just keep eating and you think that you're somehow magically going to end your emotional eating by living the same way you're living now, well, that's not going to happen. So you might want to shatter that delusion at this very moment, because as long as you think that you are somehow going to get new results by continuing to do what you've always done, it's not going to happen. That is Einstein's definition of insanity. Continuing to do the same things over and over and over again while expecting different results. All right. And if that's what you're doing, and if that's what you've been doing, you're not alone. Millions of other people are doing the same thing, but it's not going to get you the results that you want. So if you really want to end your emotional eating, you can. Absolutely. But you're going to have to take action. You're going to have to learn new ways of what I already said. But to reiterate, I want you to really get that it's not a new food diet that you need. You need to learn new ways of thinking about yourself, about your body, about your life, about food, about your relationships, about money, about your work. You need to learn new ways of thinking. You need to get a new mindset. You need to learn new ways of new emotional states. And by the way, the way that you feel, it's not because of what's happening out there. You are choosing how you feel. And it starts by your thoughts. You have more power than you realize, but you have to learn how to take action to get these new results, to actually step into your own power. Okay? And yes, you're going to need to change how you eat. You're going to need to change, more than likely, what you eat. But if the way that you go about things is just looking for another food diet and thinking that a food diet is going to fix the root of the problem that's keeping you stuck, it's not going to work. And how do you know? Just look at your past results. How many times have you taken the route of going for a food diet, but you never fixed what got you in the failure state in the first place? And the failure state being the place where you're out of shape, you're overweight, you can't stop overeating, you can't stop binge eating, you can't stop emotional eating, you can't stop snacking, you can't stop eating certain foods that you know are not going to give you the body that you want. But how did you get into this place? All right, it started not yesterday, not a week ago, but for all of my coaching clients and anybody that I've ever talked to, it starts when you're young, all right? When you're a kid, something changed back then, and it always starts in your thinking. It starts with your thoughts, it starts with your beliefs, and your behaviors will flow from that. So the way to unravel this stuff is to go about it from the inside out. If what you want is you really seriously want to end your emotional eating, you want to lose weight and keep it off. If you don't want those results, if you're okay with having a spattering of a few days or a few weeks or a few months of success with healthy eating and then boomeranging back into your old ways, if you're okay with yo-yo dieting, if you're okay with never actually maintaining your ideal weight, and if you're okay with struggling, then just keep doing what you're doing. And you know what's really interesting is that a lot of people prefer that because it gives them something to talk about. It gives them drama. It gives them something that they can have a pity party about. It gives them actually meaning. It gives a lot of people meaning because they don't have anything else going on. They have not chosen to get anything else going on in their life, to have something else to talk about, and their biggest problem is their overeating and their overweight. And so they would prefer, consciously or unconsciously, to stay in that struggle, because if they didn't have that problem, who would they be? So that's something that, could possibly be where you're at. And if that's where you want to stay, hey, it's all up to you. It's all your own choice. It's your life. It's nobody else's. But in the end, the answer to the question, can emotional eating really be cured? Yes, it can, if you are willing to do the steps to cure it. Then yeah, it can absolutely be cured. And no, you're not in recovery the rest of your life from emotional eating. It's not something that you need to be afraid of if you heal the root of the problem, and if you get the tools that you need to master your mindset and break free of this issue. Then yeah, it doesn't have to. It's not a life sentence unless you believe it is. And hey, if you want to believe it is, go for it. I wouldn't recommend that thought or that belief to any of my coaching clients. But hey, this is just a free weight loss podcast. I don't even know who you are. I'm glad that you've tuned in. That's awesome. Because, if there wasn't anybody listening to my podcast, then, I guess that why would I do it, right? But, yeah, I wouldn't recommend that line of thinking to anybody who I'm actually coaching, because it would never get them the results of struggle-free weight loss. It is time for a commercial break here on the JoLynn Braley Show. This week's sponsor of the JoLynn Braley Show is my free ebook. Hey, if you didn't already download it when I mentioned it at the beginning of today's podcast episode, then you can do it now. You're going to be able to find it at www.easyfunweightloss.com. And in that, once you get it, you can learn 3 simple steps to start making weight loss easier from the inside out. They are not your typical food and exercise tips. These are tips that are geared towards making inner changes. So if you want something totally different, and if you just want to learn a little bit more about losing weight from the inside out, then head on over to www.easyfunweightloss.com and you can download my free ebook now. All you have to do is enter your first name and your best email address on that page, and we'll send you an email. Enter your first name and your best email address so that you make sure that you actually get the email from us. And you do that now at www.easyfunweightloss.com. All right, on each episode of the JoLynn Braley Show, I give you a couple questions to ask yourself. I highly recommend that you write these down pen on paper because there is a connection that occurs between the head, the hand, and the heart when you write pen on paper. And if you don't write pen on paper, you do not get that connection. You do not get that connection when you type on a keyboard. And another huge benefit about writing pen on paper is it gets you out of your head. I've had many coaching clients. I've been a professional coach since 2009, and I've had many coaching clients who one of their biggest problems, their biggest challenges is spinning in their head. And all of these thoughts that cause them all of their anxiety and their worry, and it drives them to binge eat, to emotionally eat, to be addicted to food, to always be looking for more food, to take them to somehow take them out of the turmoil in their head. But it's not going to, the food doesn't do that. Obviously, if the food could do that for you, then you wouldn't still be spinning in your head. So a small first step you can take is put that pen on paper, and it helps you get centered, it helps you get present, and it helps you be with yourself. And I also agree with our Mr. Tony Robbins, who is just super fantastic. And he says that you will never learn by just listening. Okay, things go in one ear, out the other. So if all you do is listen to me talk on this podcast, you're not going to get very much out of it. And if you want to get more out of this totally free podcast, I mean, this isn't coaching because coaching requires two-way communication, but you could at least get a little bit more out of this podcast by putting pen on paper. All right, so first question. How many years have I been emotionally eating? Obviously, you're asking yourself this question. So you write the question down. How many years have I been emotionally eating? You write that down pen on paper, and then you answer it. And pause the podcast when you need more time. Second question, what are all of the things that I have done to try to end my emotional eating? And list everything that you've done. Number 3 question, what have my long-term results been from all of those things that I wrote down in number 2? Did those things end my emotional eating? Did they ever end my emotional eating for a short term, a short time? What were my results? Number 4 question, do I believe that it really is possible to end my emotional eating? If I were to get the right game plan, the right action plan, if I were to finally get the solution that works, do I believe that it's possible for me to end my emotional eating? And you really want to pay attention to how you answer this question for yourself, because if you believe that it's possible for other people but not for you, well, you're right. And so you'll just keep doing what you're doing. So you might want to change that belief if that's where you're at right now. But first, it's good to become aware of where you're at. Number 5 question, what's my next step? What is my next step to fully end my emotional eating? Pay attention to what you answer here, how you answer this question, because if your next step is to go do another food diet, well, you're missing the point. And obviously, yes, you are going to have to change how you eat in order to lose weight and keep it off. But if you don't, that's only 7.2% of the equation. If you don't address what is 92.8% of the equation, which is what's going on inside of you, that's your inner self, that's your mindset, that's all of the things going on inside of you. If you don't address that, then you won't be able to do the 7.2% long term and do it consistently, because your mindset will always win out. that's why you haven't been able to do any of this long term. Okay, you've got to address this from the inside out if you want results at last. Okay, last question. Who's my coach? Who is my coach? You want to make sure that you get a highly successful permanent weight loss coach in your corner, and you want a professional coach. That's somebody that you hire that is professional. Okay, a coach is not your friend. A friend is going to tell you, oh, you're fine, you're beautiful just as you are, you don't need to change anything. When on the inside, you're hating yourself, you're disgusted with yourself, and you can't stop eating, and you're just hating everything, you know? So having a friend tell you that everything's okay, that's nice, but that's not coaching. And coaching isn't about beating you up either. And it's not about being mean or anything like that. Coaching is just about helping you to get real with yourself and decide what are you going to do to get what you want, and helping you have accountability to do that, and helping you learn new ways that actually work. Does that make sense? Are you getting this? And you've got to have a coach who is courageous to be willing to tell you the truth. Okay? You don't want to have a coach who's going to sugarcoat things and enable you to keep abusing yourself, because then you're never going to get to where you want to go. All right? So that last question, who is my coach? You want to make sure that you get the right coach in your corner. Why? Because coaching is always the fastest path to success if you work with the right coach. If you want to make sure that you have somebody who's specialized in your area. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you want to get the results of ending your emotional eating as quickly as possible, and you want to solve this from the root, right? Because you want the long-term results, right? All right? Does that make sense? Okay. So what can you learn from today's podcast episode here, podcast number 128 of the JoLynn Braley Show? If there's nothing else you learn, you have learned that, yeah, it really is possible to end your emotional eating, but you've got to do something to do that. It's not going to happen by magic. It's not going to happen by hoping. It's not going to happen by thinking about it. It's not going to happen by wishing or praying. You've got to take action to get with a solid, proven system. Get the right coach in your corner. Get it done, you know? If you don't, where are you going to be a year from now? What is going to change for the better if you just keep doing things the way that you've been doing them? What exactly is going to change? All right? I mean, let's get real. And this is not even a Get Real episode of the JoLynn Braley Show. So, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Next week's episode of the JoLynn Braley Show, that will be episode number 129. And what we're going to look at, and actually that will be Get Real episode number 30. So do not tune into that episode if you're looking for reasons to fail, if you're looking for more reasons to make excuses for yourself, if you want to blame other people for your out of control eating. Don't listen to Get Real episode number 30, which will be next week, which is episode number 129, because getting real with yourself is not about enabling yourself to stay broken. That's not what getting real is about. Getting real is about getting totally honest with yourself and then becoming aware of how you're not helping yourself and deciding what you're going to do to help yourself and then moving forward. Okay, you got to come out of the darkness of the delusion and the denial where you keep telling yourself that everything is going to be okay while you keep eating a half a gallon of ice cream every day. Okay? All right, so that will be episode number 129, and I'm going to be sharing with you 3 things that you can do if you can't stop eating. So be sure to tune into that. Make sure that you're subscribed to the JoLynn Braley Show in your favorite podcast subscription service. You can find the JoLynn Braley Show on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all over the place. If you have an iPhone, you know that little purple app that says podcasts. You can find the JoLynn Braley Show in there. And I'd love it if you would subscribe in iTunes and give the show a rating. I believe this is a 5-star show because I'm talking about the real deal. Okay? Anybody can tell you that you need to clean up your eating and clean up your act and get with the program to diet and exercise. Okay, that type of information is everywhere. But what nobody else is talking about is how powerful your mind is and the fact that 92.8% of your success, your long-term success, is going to be determined by whether or not you get a weight loss mindset, whether or not you heal your inner self, whether or not you address the real problems. And the real problems are not the food. The real problems are not the fat on your body. The fat on your body is just a symptom of a bigger problem, and the way that you use food is a symptom of a bigger problem. Heal the bigger problem, and then you will be free. So I'd love it if you would rate the show on iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating if you agree with me. And then give us a review. Just write a couple sentences to review the podcast. Why don't you share what your biggest takeaway is that you've gotten from the JoLynn Braley Show? I'd love to read that over there. Oh, by the way, hey, if you really are serious about ending your food and weight struggles once and for all, if you really are serious about ending your emotional eating and you know that you need help, if you would love to get this done as quickly as possible, and it makes sense to you that coaching, professional coaching, is the quickest way to do that, if you'd love to stop wondering why you're so smart and successful professionally, but that professional success and your intelligence has never helped you heal your food and weight problems, if you'd love to fix that so that your professional success matches up with your body, actually show up looking like the intelligent professional that you are. All right? Are you following me? If you'd like to stop asking yourself, why am I so smart and successful, but I can't lose weight, I can't stop emotional eating, then head on over to www.discovery-session.com. That's www.discovery-session.com. And on that page, you need to enter your first name and your best email address. And then after you submit that form, click the button to say, yeah, you want to go to the next page, or whatever that button says. It might say, yes, I want help. Anyway, okay, on www.discovery-session.com, enter your first name, your best email address, click the button. On the next page, you'll be taken to an application form, and you need to complete that application if you are serious about ending your food and weight struggles as fast as possible. The application is an application for a complimentary weight loss discovery session with me personally on the phone. It's one-on-one, it's private, and it's all about finding out if it would be a good mutual fit for me to coach you through my proven system, the Inner Self Diet. And that's where you can end your emotional eating in 8 weeks or less and get this thing done. All right, so if you really are serious about doing this, get started now at www.discovery-session.com. This is a limited time offer. And if you're not serious, if you're okay with just doing what you're doing, that's cool. Hey, if you want to tune in to any of my other podcast episodes, you're welcome to do that. Anybody can listen to these. They're totally free. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Kick-Ass Empowering Inner Self Diet. I wish you your best life living inside of your ideal body.